Tonight on TBN, Music Movement, the story of a master's alum who's now back on campus and leading an all-new choir to promote social justice. Helping Hero, how one master's senior was inspired to begin her own community service initiative after an inspirational trip years ago. And a long-lasting legacy. We sit down with Director of Equity and Inclusion, Karen Brown, who leaves Masters next month after a decade of hard work and leadership at the school. All this and more, next.
Good evening and welcome into the Tower Broadcast Newsroom. I'm Logan Schijano and this is a TBN special, Powers for Good at Masters. We often talk a lot about that phrase, being a power for good, but rarely do we define it. And that's really because there's not one exact definition for what it means to be a power for good in the world. Tonight on the show, you'll hear the stories of a number of students, teachers, even alumni who are making a difference on and off campus. So for the next 30 minutes or so, sit back and listen to their stories. Take a break from your homework, studying for APs. That's right, AP exams are underway and will continue for the next few weeks, and teachers are in the midst of preparing students for this grueling exam. It's interesting, one teacher, her passion for helping others began at a young age when she found joy in helping her peers succeed on tests like the APs. TBN's Maya Barancevic and Giselle Sestaro have her story.
Michelle Dennis joined the Master's School 24 years ago. She is a math teacher, mother, and has a substantial impact in our community.
She teaches different levels of mathematics, anywhere ranging from Algebra 1 to AP classes, teaching mostly seniors and some juniors and freshmen. She's always known that she wanted to be a teacher from a young age.
And I just remember enjoying helping my friends prepare for the exam a lot, really enjoyed trying to get concepts through to them and help them understand. And it was actually then that I thought to myself, hey, I think I could do this forever.
Dennis has worked her way up to becoming a department chair of mathematics at Masters. This role has allowed her to form strong and personal connections with the students at the school.
You know, I think my primary objective is always to find ways to pique student interest, try and create a problem, generate a problem that gets students interested in the material. I think I'd like to cultivate sort of a spirit of curiosity and inquiry.
This is y equals negative 2x plus 6. So Zara did this.
Dennis always tries to appeal to her students while maintaining high standards in the classroom.
I enjoy their company. I love to know, what they're thinking, how they're feeling. I think that all really matters to me. So I just enjoy the youthfulness of it. I'm happily spend my time amongst teenagers, even more so than amongst adults.
On her days off, Dennis will commonly spend time with her family. She also does chores such as cooking, walking the dog, and meditating for peace of mind.
I have a very active mind, I'm always just thinking, how am I going to teach the next lesson or the things I have to do that day? I'm just always thinking.
Dennis works extremely hard to make sure the students she teaches stay engaged and enjoy learning in the classroom.
My favorite quality of hers is probably not only her kindness, but her dedication to teaching, to making sure her students feel comfortable in the classroom, and to making lesson plans that are engaging but also really informative.
Dennis says she feels she succeeded when her students feel as though they have succeeded.
She hopes that she has impacted the school and her students in a positive way and will continue to do so.
As we wind down the school year, there's still a number of culminating events and performances that will take place in the next month or so, one of which is the Upper School Spring Play. This year, 2 students are working to bring a musical touch to the stage, as TBN's Carol K. Roz now reports.
Nearly 2 months ago, as the transition into the spring semester began, the Odyssey was announced as a spring theater production. Among the 26 students who are working hard to bring this production to life, juniors Elena Swope and Marbad Foch volunteered to work behind the scenes to compose and record the entirety of the show's music.
I volunteered because music is something that's really close to my soul. My parents are both musicians. I've been playing the piano since I was 4. I've known how to read music longer than I've known how to read English. I think in COVID, it's been really hard to find like those musical connections and even just those like social connections. And so I was like, sure, I'll do it.
Upper school theater teacher and director Meg O'Connor, who continually encourages students to take part in musical aspects of her productions, have given the students complete creative liberty to bring their visions of the music to life, and has expressed excitement over the body of work.
I've always had students involved in all sorts of aspects of production, whether it's working on the costumes or helping to build the set, or especially ideas like music. So that was one of the very first things I did when I saw that there were songs and a lot of music in the play, was to ask the students who wanted to step up and get involved. And thank God we had Elena and Arvid. I love what they're writing. I think it's really exciting, and it's amazing how they can read the text, what's in the scene, and then translate that into music. And I think they've done that really well, and it's exciting.
With the majority of the show's music finished and recorded, Swope reflected on her experience composing music for the first time.
But afterwards, I kind of sat down, and I think I texted one of my friends, and I was like, I'm a published composer! Guys, this is so cool! So, like, it was, then once I kind of, like, had the time to myself to think about it, I was like, this doesn't happen all the time. This does not happen every day. Like, most people have to jump through hoops to get their music published or performed.
Carol Queiroz, TBN, The Masters School.
In less than a month, we'll mark the 1-year anniversary of the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a death that sparked widespread protests, calls for social justice, and police reform. At Masters, one way students, teachers, and faculty are grappling with the raw emotion that comes after these relentless killings of unarmed Black men by police is through song and the Masters Social Justice Choir, which is being co-directed by alumni Sam Appia, as TBN's Maya Phillips and Ellie Yang now report.
New additions to Masters, both Samuel Appia and his Social Justice Choir, are making their impression on the community. The idea of the Social Justice Choir was brought up by the head of the Performing Arts Department, Jennifer Carnevale, which Appia agreed to directing.
Well, I love music, and I love choir music. For me, especially at Masters, one thing that I'll always recognize during my time here was how much of a community, or how community-oriented it was. So the concept behind the Justice Choir was really to involve all of the different facets of the school: boarders, day students, faculty, students. You know, it didn't really matter. Everybody was applicable for being a part of it. And so because I always recognized that, and that's always been like part of the essence that I held dear regarding Masters, I said, yeah, this makes sense. I can move forward with this vision.
Junior Caleb Jakes is a member of the Social Justice Choir. He, like Appia, is a singer.
Well, I've seen his work a lot. I've seen it on YouTube. I've seen it when he did the video presentation. He has a voice on him. It's amazing. It's powerful. It's impactful. I don't know. I thought it was really interesting just to see the way he teaches people, because I've been to, rehearsal for the Justice Choir. He goes really fast. I love that fast-paced learning, because our other classes especially because like I'm in DOP 16 and we're working on songs that are at a slower pace, but this is something where it's good music, it's a fast learning environment, and we have a lot of people in it. So it kind of makes everything go a little bit quicker, and we help each other learn on the way.
Appia decided to take on the role of co-director of the Social Justice Choir because he believes that it can offer a space for people to reflect on the events happening around the world today.
Like Facebook posts sometimes only go but so far, and it's very easy to feel isolated when you feel a social trauma. And so what the Justice Choir then allows as a platform is for people who are feeling that pain to come together and, think about that pain, think about the fact that justice may not be present right now, and there are certain things that need to be dealt with.
The Masters community has created an outlet for social justice through performing arts that offers each student a new form of expression.
This is something brand new. And it definitely fits the category of soul. And I really like that sort of raw gospel feeling, but not necessarily with a Christian feel in this case because it's about justice. But I think that's what really drew me.
The Social Justice Choir will be performing the songs from Marvin Gaye's 11th studio album, such as God is Love and What's Going On, to spread their spirit of justice, might, and resilience.
Another one of the leaders in our Masters community who's working to create a better Masters, a more inclusive Masters, is Director of Equity and Inclusion, Karen Brown. Sadly, Miss Brown will be leaving Masters at the end of this year, and I sat down with her to get her thoughts on her 10-year stretch on campus and her plans for the future. When you think about the fact that you're going to be leaving this community in just a couple of months, what kind of emotions go through your head and your mind when you think about that?
Oh, wow. So many emotions because it's been 10 years of my life. And it's not only been a part of my life professionally, but a part of my life personally. As you know, Logan, my son, Jonathan, graduated here in 2016. He went through the middle school and the upper school. We live on campus, and just those relationships that I have formed in the dining hall, in the classroom with students, faculty, administrators. It is with mixed emotion that I make this move. But the good thing is, something I learned, when you feel comfortable with what you've done and the people that you're leaving, you know that you'll be able to stay in contact. And so I'm really looking forward to moving on, but being able to stay in contact with people.
If you think back on the 10 years that you've been around campus, do you have any particular moments or things you've accomplished during that time that really stand out to you that you think you're gonna be proud of and carry with you for a long time?
Number one is a moment we're sharing right here. I mean, I remember bringing you into the middle school when I was the director of middle school admission, and so being able to see students who I had a hand in bringing into the school and watching them develop into the wonderful young people, for instance, that you and your sister and everybody else has just enriched a big part of who I am. As well, just some of the other things like developing the after-school program, the MASC after-school program in the middle school, and as well being able to work with our students with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity ambassadors have been so important, the various student clubs and organizations I work with, as well as the signature program of the Saturday Summit on Social Justice that's going on 5 years now.
Obviously in the past year, everyone has been dealing with the pandemic, but on top of that, there's also been this national reckoning for social justice across the country. How has this past year specifically been for you in your role? Has it felt, has it been the most challenging, in your career?
It has definitely been in the top 3. And someone was just asking, I don't know if you know, but I interview all candidates who are interested in coming to Masters. And they asked me about the Black at Masters and how I felt about it. And I said, we're a Harkness school. We're a school that thrives on participation and student voice. We're very student-centric. I would have been disappointed if our students had not been part of the Black at Independent School movement. I will admit that in my own way, I took it personally in that I said, what more could I have done? And how could I have done better to have supported the students? But there were times that I had to also remember that this was a movement of students all over the country, young people like you who are trying to make this world better. And that's why we're here. We're helping to shape the future.
Everyone was probably looking at you in the summer, especially, right after the account surfaced and, dealing with that response. Everyone's really looking at you, Miss Brown. How's the school going to respond? What is it like to have to deal with all that spotlight really being, and I know there's others involved, but you're really at the top there.
I really took it that that's my job, and I don't look at it as being the voice. I look at it as helping to emphasize all voices and lead those voices to the right places. And so I didn't feel like it was a huge weight on my shoulder because I took responsibility of the fact that because the spotlight was like being shown in my direction, in the Department of Equity and Inclusion's direction, that it was important that I rose to the occasion, but it wasn't like just the Department of Equity and Inclusion, it was truly a collaborative effort.
Tell us a little more about what your plans are going to be, beginning. Obviously you're moving down to Savannah and you're going to be working in DEI at the Savannah Country Day School, so tell us about what the future holds for you.
Those who know me well know that I love Savannah, Georgia. And I have always said that that was the place that I wanted to spend like my last good years at. And when I saw this position available, it was just one of those things that come few and far between. And so I chose to be able to have the opportunity to work with a school that I've known about for quite a long time, and that wants to build a DEI program. And so I'm looking to see, what I can do there.
It's a whole new journey, right?
It is a new journey. As someone said, it's my chapter 2. And I don't know what that chapter 2 looks like, but I'm hoping it's as good as my chapter 1 and my chapter 1.5 and my chapter 0.5. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, I know that everyone's going to miss you, and me personally, I just want to thank you because there's only a few people who I've known from 5th grade all the way till now. So it's really special that I've gotten to share my 8 years with you, so I really appreciate everything that you've done for me.
Thank you, Logan.
Thank you so much, and thanks for spending some time with us today.
Absolutely, thank you.
And one of Miss Brown's colleagues in the field of DEI is Eric Shear, who has a number of titles on campus, from chemistry teacher to class dean. TBN's Hannah Schijano and Noah Castle-Young have the story.
Eric Shear has been a part of the Masters community for 8 years now. As the class of 2021 Dean, Science Faculty Member, Advisor, and Upper School DEI Coordinator, Shear's presence is felt all across campus.
What's unique about the jobs that I have is every day is different, and that's something that I love. To me, right, a lot of what I do is less about seeing them as separate roles and more about seeing them all as how can I better help our community to grow and educate students.
Shear was named the Upper School DEI Coordinator in 2018. He said he finds this aspect of his work to be most influential.
In my role, we developed an audit tool that is going to evaluate our entire curriculum in terms of DEI from 5th through 12th grade. There's going to be a lot of impact coming from that in terms of instilling DEI into our classrooms.
Shear has already begun to do this in his chemistry classes. One example of this is when he planned lessons that explored the discoveries of Black chemists, which often go unrecognized.
All you would do is MA times 20.
His approach to teaching has been highly respected among many of his students.
He really explains everything thoroughly, and I'm doing a lot better in his class than any other science class I've taken.
While Shear lives on campus, he said that he tries to unplug from the workday at around 5 p.m. in order to spend time with his wife and dog.
I try to take moments to just enjoy being in other people's company and not always worry about, the work aspects, but actually build relationships within the community.
Shear said that the most rewarding part about being a member of the Masters community is seeing the growth in his students.
I don't teach chemistry, I teach students, right? And my whole philosophy is about helping young folks grow up to be better people. And so everything I do is towards that end.
And finally tonight, the story of one of my friends and fellow Mish co-chairs whose passion for community service has led her to become adept at, yup, you guessed it, power tools. TBN's Tara Phillips and Lily Zuckerman now report.
Carly Grizzoffi, a senior at the Masters School, is one of the many activists within our community. She is a co-chair for the Masters Mish Club, involved in the Appalachian Service Project, and a founding member of Mission Possible. Motivated because she loves giving back.
I've had a lot of experiences in my life that I'm so grateful for, and I know there are so many people in this world, in this country, even in the area, that are not as fortunate. So being able to volunteer and participate in all these community service activities makes me feel like I'm changing someone's life for the better.
Carly got involved with the Appalachian Service Project, also known as ASP, during her freshman year, after hearing about it from a classmate. Having not done much community service, she viewed this as the perfect starting point.
It was like this whole world really opened up to me about giving back, and it was a really wonderful, wonderful thing I joined.
Inspired, Grizzoffi started Mission Possible that summer. After completing her freshman year, and then a rising sophomore, Carly started taking action. She established Mission Possible, partnering with 2 other women she had met on her Appalachia service trip. She describes her experience.
After going on this trip for ASP, it was a little over a week, and I felt like my life was just completely changed. I came back having this urge to just tell everyone about my experience, to have other people join this group. But then I realized that it's only once over the summer for this week, so I wanted to bring a similar experience back.
Kai Cowan, a peer of Grizzoffi who volunteered with Mission Possible, shares his experience.
Rarely do we see someone who talks the talk and walks the walk. I think Carly is the good example of someone like that, who not only cares about a community, but actually strives towards to help the community. I think that's like very rare, especially nowadays, given the culture of people just saying something to say something and not doing something to do something.
The nonprofit is founded out of a church in Shrub Oak and has been brought to the Masters School. Carly's role as a Mish representative and co-founder of Mission Possible has allowed the two to work together. Mission Possible's main goal is to repair homes of people in the local area. To accommodate high schoolers' busy schedules, the project tends to only be a one-day commitment.
Being able to reach my friends and reach other people in the community to get them involved in some of the work I do and some of the work I find really important and just really heartwarming, I think that's been really nice.
Cowan agrees with Grizzoffi.
Felt good to do something nice for people who, sort of deserved it.
Grizzoffi further explains the relationship between Mish and Mission Possible.
So we partnered with Mish for Jeans Day, and everyone in the community was so generous. What attracted me to Mish is the community. I really looked up to a lot of the people that were in Mish, and I think that's the initial thing that drew me in. But then also through my work with ASP, and then my work with Mission Possible, I just have found such a nice community.
But Carly's really tried a lot and very hard with creating her own missions and helping other people out.
Really gain a sense of fulfillment and like I'm changing someone's life. Even in the smallest ways, just being able to have someone smile, or just being able to interact with someone just makes me feel really good.
The Masters School is lucky to have a community member who cares so deeply about humanitarian aid.
And thanks so much for tuning in to our TBN special, Powers for Good at Masters. Remember to follow Tower Broadcast News on our YouTube channel and at Masters Tower on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll be back in the TBN newsroom next month for our final edition of TBN in the 2020-2021 school year. I'm Logan Schijano. Have a great night.